In this video, I'm going to tell you about the 3 main feminine wounds, how they affect you, and what you can do about it. My name is Antonina and I help find joy and fulfillment and build a life that not only looks good on the outside, but feels good on the inside too. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you can receive more videos, more information and energy updates so that you can live a more joyful, fulfilling and thriving life. The first wound that we're going to talk about today is the witch wound. What is a witch wound? Witch wound is essentially fear of being seen and recognized for your magic. What do I mean by that? You will avoid any kind of visibility, writing that post, going onto the stage and speaking to people, anything that puts you in front of people and anything that evokes and calls for your own innate wisdom. So let me tell you a story, a client story of mine. There is a lady called Beverly. And Beverly was a successful 6-figure plus online entrepreneur. Beverly managed to get to that level by constructing a masculine driven, purposeful, very linear identity. The truth is, and what Beverly was hiding, in her inner psyche, in her inner world, she was a highly conscious, sensitive woman who was acutely attuned to source, universe, whatever you want to call it, and was able to instantaneously receive messages for her clients. There was a level of mistrust that Beverly carried for herself, which means that although Beverly achieved great things and created great results, she would continuously sabotage her ability to go to that next level. It was always super close to what she really wanted, but not quite close enough for her to get what she really desired. Beverly had high dreams and aspirations. Specifically, she wanted to have fewer high-level clients so she could work intimately and at a high level with them. Now, what she failed to recognize and understand, in order to attract those types of clients, she needed to be seen at a very high level, and she needed to be seen and recognized. She was hiding behind a very linear perspective model, which was do, get a result, repeat. There was no magic there. There was no creativity. Once Beverly acknowledged and recognized that the source of her frustration was indeed the witch wound, and she worked through it, especially where the bits where it pertained to her childhood arrested development, she was able to show up and shine in her power. She was able to speak freely about her spiritual gifts, about her innate ability to channel information straight from source and create unique messaging and positioning for her clients that came seemingly out of nowhere. And Beverly was subsequently hired to assist one of the high-powered executives in their position, helping City to move forward and take their business to the next level. So if you happen to recognize yourself in Beverly's story, my advice to you would be to focus and work through those 3 things. Number 1 is calibrating your nervous system to safety. That is imperative for you to be able to hold the tension of attention. Number 2 is attending to your inner child. By this, I mean timeline therapy or similar, where you are able to reconnect with your inner child their dreams, desires, and aspiration, and complete and conclude that cycle so that that inner child does not feel limited in its expression. And finally, third, learning to be really okay with being vulnerable. If you want to know more, don't forget to subscribe to my channel or use the details below to reach out to me for a private consult. So let's talk about. Let me give you an example. One of my past clients, Jade, used to attract a lot of unwanted sexual attention. In fact, she used to attract a lot of unwanted things into her energy field and her reality. Here's the kicker though. Those things really mirrored her unconscious desired attraction. In other words, she actually enjoyed the attention that she got from the opposite sex, but she was not in permission of it. So what she used to do unconsciously is to dull down her sparkle, tone down her sexuality, and limit her expression. In that way, she was really editing herself. So how did it look in Jade's life in particular? Well, she had this story where she could not be rich, successful, and sexy at the same time. That she felt like this trifecta would be too much for the world and the world would implode. Therefore, anytime she reached the point of expansion in any one of those levels, she would subconsciously sabotage one of the other areas. Anytime she got close to success, her relationship would blow up. So therefore, her attention would be focused on her relationship and taken away from her success. Anytime she felt remotely successful, she would look into putting on weight. It was a never-ending ride of unfulfillment. If you recognize yourself in Jade's story, one of the things that you have to do is work on or heal or reconnect with your sexual expression. Number two, being really good and comfortable with your sexual expression, meaning understanding yourself, your needs, your wants and desires of a sexual nature on a intimate level. And finally, number three is learning how to be really okay and comfortable with your magnetic, alluring, sexy nature, meaning being okay with being sexy. You're in charge of that narrative, meaning you can choose what kind of sexy you get to be. Alana was an innately powerful being, an innately powerful woman who failed to recognize that in herself. As a result, she would be continuously called out online anytime she made an appearance, meaning receiving a lot of backlash. Anytime she was assertive at home, she would receive a negative feedback from her partner. Altogether, this left Alana feeling frustrated, feeling rejected, and feeling disconnected from her sense of purpose and soulful expression. She didn't know how to ask for what she wants. She couldn't hold the competency of having it and owning it and being okay with being seen as this powerful, engaging person who could have whatever she wants to. What Alana really wanted to was to make an impact on a very big scale. She wanted to work less, but that be more of an influence than it was. In other words, she wanted to work in a high-powered, high-actualized position and or with high net worth individual. Because she did not believe in her power to achieve that, her results always mirrored her internal thoughts. So there was a woman who knew and understood her gifts, her talents, her wants, her wishes, her desires. And yet on the other side of this, the output mode was below the capacity that she knew she was capable of. Her greatest fears was that she would leave this world being mediocre, but that's the results that she kept producing until Alana realized what she needed to work through and begin working on her actual power wound. So how does a power wound manifest in daily life? Well, you are probably not asking for what you want in all the areas. I mean, not asking for that promotion, not naming your actual price, and as a result, you're not doing your best work, you're not fulfilled. Another example I can think of is you're likely to carry people pleasing tendency because you're deeply afraid of being seen as a bitch. Bitch is, in fact, when you have a power wound, bitch is a dirty word for you. And that means that you will be leaking energy towards everything and everyone and spending it all everywhere but on yourself, which leaves you tired, resentful, and pissed off. So when I saw Alana a couple of years later, I did not recognize the woman who came to work with me originally. Once her healing was complete, she began to command the kind of prices that she knew she deserved for her services, which allowed her to scale back on her work. She established a new hierarchy at home where she was no longer subservient to her other half, and they were indeed partners. She was poised, she was confident, she commanded attention wherever she went, and she done that with such grace and majesty. What do you do if you recognize yourself in the story of Alana? First of all, you are going to focus on transmuting any stories of limitations. Those are usually lodged deeply in our cellular structure. Secondly, you are going to learn to ask for what you want and receive it. It sounds simpler than it is for those who carry this particular wounding. And finally, and that's probably the most important bit, you are going to learn how to hold the sensation, the reality of you having it all, of you having it just the way you want to and to the capacity that you want it to. Your whole identity is built on not getting what you want because of the power wound that you carry. Well, with that in place, you can have it any way you want to, anytime you want to. But you have got to retrain your system to hold that idea, to hold that energy, to hold that sensation. I'll share something with you. When I was working through the feminine wounds myself, one that really struck a chord with me was the bitch wound, the wound of power. In fact, I even lost a potential high-level client over this because they have seen me and my work online and they have formed a certain impression of me. And I guess they expected a certain treatment from me as a result of the impressions that they had. And so when they approached me and they realized that there's a range to me and I can be hard and I can be soft, they did not like that, and they ended up rejecting my proposal of working together and blocking me on social media. That hit me hard. So in my quest to really resolve this in my energy once and for all, I had a session with an actual professional dominatrix to get to the core of the challenge, but also to give myself a healthy, actualized example of what a power express looks like. My name is Antonina. I coach, mentor, and support high feminine leaders. If you want to know more about me and my work, or how you can work with me, check out the information below this video, and make sure that you subscribe to get further updates, energy tips, and feedback on how you can live a life less ordinary.